Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tony and the channel is Tony Talks Cards. If you saw a couple of videos ago, I'm starting a series on first African American players for a number of the Major League Baseball teams, from Jackie Robinson and the Brooklyn Dodgers to Pumpsie Green, the late 50s being the first black Boston Red Sox player, and the Red Sox being the last Major League Baseball team to integrate. Got a 16-part series, one video for every team from the Dodgers to the Red Sox. But I thought, I haven't even started the series yet. Let's do a bonus episode, right? Not say that till the very end. So I cut it off at 59 with the Red Sox just to kind of make a nice clean cut of the original teams in the major leagues. But as we all know, a lot of us know, in the early 60s, there were four expansion teams. The American League, you had the Los Angeles Angels and the new Washington Senators. The Senators were the Senators. They moved to Minnesota, and I think how it worked is maybe they had an expansion team with the same name in 60 or 61. So that became a technically new team, though the name was the same. National League, we had the New York Mets, and then the Houston Colt 45s, which became the Houston Astros. So I thought, before even starting the series, let's do a bonus episode. This will be there'll be 17 episodes, not just 16. But in this one, I want to talk really briefly, not too in detail, about what I found on some of the first black players for those four expansion teams. Some of them had been early black players on other teams in the 50s, and some had other interesting stories beyond that, or maybe they were the fifth or sixth black player, but they became one of the first on this new team, right? So show some cards off, talk about them in a little less detail because I've got four teams in this video versus one per video before. But hopefully you enjoy this bonus episode before the series even gets going. And beyond that, I'm not sure if I'm going to start with the Red Sox and work backwards or start with the Dodgers and work forward in terms of teams to integrate, or alphabetical order, Cubs first because I love the Cubs. I don't know yet, so I'll think about that in the next little bit here, but that's coming up soon. And before I turn the camera around to show you some cards and talk about some histories of those first black players on these four expansion teams, remember, we're in the middle of my 1 year on YouTube subscriber giveaway. I have a video linked below where I kick that giveaway series out or off. The rules to enter are in that video, but they'll be posted below in the description for this video as well. So take a look at that. Make sure you comment on these videos to be entered in the subscriber contest. I show the cards I'm giving away on the original video. I'll link to that, of course, like I said. This is going to be fun. Hope you guys find it fun and interesting too, this video series on these first black players. And oh, by the way, since we're talking about the Colt 45s, Houston Colt 45s, which became the Houston Astros, I want to show something real briefly. It has nothing to do with the video per se, but it's a shout out or an allusion to a video coming based on a comment and some interactions I've had with Drew over at Clean Cheap Shots. I want to show you something. You're like, what is this, Tony? This has nothing to do with first black players, and it doesn't. But this is a foam finger hat I got, sponsored by our friends at Carl's Jr., obviously, probably in 1987 or 88. I lived in Tucson, Arizona at the time, and the Tucson Toros were a minor league baseball team affiliated with the Houston Astros. I don't think they're there anymore. I'm not sure if they were AAA, AA, but we went and saw one, maybe two games when I was in second, third grade. I've got some cards from the team I'll show in a later video, but Drew and I had exchanged comments in terms of a manager who was on the Tucson Toros in the late 80s, who he had as an interview guest, I think it was, on a recent video and has interviewed before, I believe, Mr. Eddie Watt. So, Drew, this is an allusion or a preview, a shout out to you about a yellow foam finger hat. But in the corner here, you can see that is the Tucson Toros, I think it says Pacific Coast League logo. So talking about the Colt 45s here, video coming up on the Tucson Toros and Houston franchise. And Drew, hope you like that as well when it comes out. So without that distraction, I'll move on to turn the camera around, talk about the Astros player, an Angels player, a Mets player, and a Senators player. So stick with me. Thank you all very much. Look forward to talking to you soon. See ya. All right, welcome back. Like I mentioned, this is going to be an early bonus episode for this series on early and first black players to play for Major League Baseball teams. And the bonus episode being, I'm talking about the 4 teams, expansion teams that entered the league in 1961 and 62. We've got the Colt 45 slash Astros, you've got the Mets, you've got the Angels, and then you've got the Washington Senators, which replaced, I believe, the Senators who went to Minnesota to be the Twins. So 4 teams. And just to start this off, I want to talk about some of the first black players to play for those teams, a bit about them. Don't have all of them, and there may be some discussion on whether this was the first or someone maybe played in a game with somebody else, the exact same game, and started, and there's some discussion around that. But I want to show players of cards of players I do have and tell a bit about their story too. So we will start with the Colt 45s, who later became the Astros. They entered the league in 1962. And from what I can tell, at least my own research, Mr. J.C. Hartman was the first African-American to play for the Houston Colt 45s. This is his 1963 Topps card. Look at that orange. That bright orange down there kind of is about to whip a throw across the infield, looks like, as a shortstop. Very sharp card, sharp corners. Here's what the back of 63s look like. Number 442. And let's read some about JC before I go into the research I've done. So it says, JC spent the winter playing ball in Venezuela, just laying on the beach apparently. So very cool there. Given a chance, JC can easily become one of the big league's slickest fielding shortstops. The sturdy performer was originally signed by the Cubs, which is true. So let's talk about Mr. J.C. Hartman first. So he was born in 1934 and was the first, like I think, and said African-American player for the Colt 45s. He's a shortstop, but only played 2 years, 1962 and 1963. He only played a total of 90 games in those 2 years with a 185 batting average. He played with the Kansas City Monarchs of the Negro Leagues in 1955 when they were more of a barnstorming team at that point in their life cycle. He was purchased soon after 55 by the Cubs along with Lou Johnson and George Altman. Both played in the late 50s and into the 60s with the Cubs as well. Now, there's a website, the National, I forget what it's, NLBM. I'll link it in the description. I think it's the Negro League Baseball, a website dedicated to players who play the Negro Leagues. And I want to share from that website, I'll link to the link in the comments, the exact website so you can look at it yourself. But an article I found about Mr. J.C. Hartman, and in his own words, what he said about himself. In 1956, I was drafted into the U.S. Army. In 1957, we had the All-Army Champion team at Fort Carson, Colorado. Some of the team members were Charlie Pride, the country western singer, Willie Kirkland, and Leon Wagner, who later played with the San Francisco Giants. After my enlistment, I attended the Michigan Barber College and would cut other players' hair during spring training. So, good to have somebody who knows how to cut hair, right? Every week or two. He was a paratrooper in the U.S. Army. Debuted in 1962, like I said, July 21st at 28 years old. And after baseball, he stayed in Houston and became the first African-American supervisor of the Houston Police Department. I did find a few videos on YouTube where it looks like about a year ago, in April 2024, he threw out the first pitch at an Astros game on his 90th birthday. So for just playing 2 years, he spent a lot of good time in Houston with the police department. And cool, they remembered him on his 90th birthday just last year in April. So that's Mr. J.C. Hartman. I will link to the various websites, of course, where I found some of the data too in the description. So, but other players, of course, who are African-American played for the Astros. Another player I do have, not all of them, but one guy you may know, is Mr. Joe Morgan, shown in 1971 Topps. This is a preview to my action pose video I haven't done yet on Mr. Joe Morgan, but this is his action pose from 1971, again with the Astros. And I'll talk more about him and his later part of his career with the 71 Topps video I do of him and others. But his first game with the Colt 45s was September 21st, 1963, a year after J.C. Hartman appeared. He played a total of 18 games in 1963 and 64 before getting more playing time in 1965. He played with Houston through the 1971 season. He finished second in the National League Rookie of the Year voting in 1965 to Jim Lefevre, who later became a Cubs manager. Remember watching him on WGN.
He was an all-star with Houston in 66 and 1970, and his Topps rookie card appears in 1965 and is a multiplayer card with Sonny Jackson alongside of him. Of course, he played until 1984 and likely most remembered for his time with the Reds. He was a two-time NL MVP in the mid-70s. So Mr. Joe Morgan and Mr. J.C. Hartman showing two early African Americans for the Houston Colt 45s / Astros. On to the next team. The Los Angeles Angels debuted in 1961. An early black player for them was a man named Lou Johnson. Now, Lou Johnson, I don't have a card of him with the Angels. He played with the Cubs, Angels, and Braves early on, and then later with several other teams in the late to mid 60s. I've got his 1960 Topps card as a Cub. I'm putting together and very, very close to having all the 1960 Topps Cubs team set done. Just need one Ernie Banks, Richie Ashburn, and one more that's missing me right now in my head. But this nice, sharp Lou Johnson I've got to show him. He debuted April 11th, 1961. Looking at his baseball reference stats, he played in only one game with the Angels in 1961 on April 11th. I'm not sure why. It looked like he came in maybe subbed in for the left fielder but didn't get any at-bats. But only played one game, less than one game likely, and didn't play again. So I'm not sure if he went down to the minors, the team brought someone else up, and he was moved down or what happened. But this is Mr. Lou Johnson, an early, very, very early in appearance for the Los Angeles Angels. Early on, he was signed by the Yankees as an amateur free agent in 1953 and bounced around the minor leagues until he made his Cubs debut. Thus, here's his card in 1960. So here's the back of the 1960 Topps card, Mr. Lou Johnson. Lou was a star with the Kansas City Monarchs before the Cubs bought him in 55. His reputation for getting plenty of base hits was confirmed when he belted the ball for a .365 average at Paris in the Midwest League in 58 to win the hitting title. Lou was optioned by the Cubs to Houston on May 9th, 1960. So very cool there, Mr. Lou Johnson. And that will be, that'll be my reference for the Angels. There were a few other guys who played early on but don't have their cards, so this will be my early and really not very much of an appearance by Mr. Lou Johnson for the expansion Los Angeles Angels in 1961. So there you go there. Now the Senators, like I said, and I wasn't around in the early 60s, but looks like they became an expansion team because the old team went to Minnesota. I don't have any cards of those players that are first mentioned as being early draftees out of the expansion draft who were African-American for this team. I'll pick some up probably later, but I'll skip over them for right now, just knowing there were definitely folks, early non-white players who played for them, but they also played for other teams likely as well into the 50s. So I will skip past the Senators for right now and round out this video, this bonus video, with the New York Mets, who made their debut in 1962. And on April 11th, 1962, both Felix Mantilla and Charlie Neal appeared to be the first black players to take the field in a New York Mets jersey. I don't have a Felix Mantilla card, but I do have a Charlie Neal card, but with the wrong team. Not the wrong team, but the team for this video, not with the Mets. He's with the Dodgers. He came in with Brooklyn. This is showing him as a Los Angeles Dodger. Second base / shortstop, 1959 Topps. So let's talk about, I'll leave him here for right now and talk about the two of those players. Neal began with the Dodgers and actually had a home run and 3 hits in his first game with the Mets in 1962. Felix also played in that game, Felix Mantilla, and he had a double. So not a bad way to start out. First game of the team, the first game of the Mets ever. So Felix played from 56 to 1966. He played 1 year with the Mets in 62 only. And later, Felix was traded to the Boston Red Sox. And as part of that trade, it involved Pumpsie Green, the first black player for the Red Sox. So a connection between the early Mets players there and a player I'll talk about likely very soon on my Boston Red Sox episode. But since Charlie Neal was in the same game and Mr. Neal had a home run and 3 hits, let's talk about him too and see what Topps thought to show on the back of his cards here. So it says in the cartoon, Charlie was triple king twice in the minors. Pretty cool. And the leader in double plays for shortstops. In 58, Charlie was originally a second baseman. Last year, he was one of the top Dodger hitters, leading the team in runs scored and total bases, while tying with Gil Hodges for Los Angeles home run honors. So that's Mr. Charlie Neal, again, not shown with the Mets in the uniform of the Mets, but I want to show a card, even if it was with a different team, to represent the Mets and early African-American players with that team. Of course, many more followed for every team, but I didn't want to make this too long and just show a quick bonus flyover of these 4 expansion teams in 1961 and 62. So Charlie Neal representing the Mets. And for the Angels, again, not too bad being in a Cubs uniform, Mr. Lou Johnson, who got only less than a game with them in April 1961. And then for the Astros, the main focus of this video, Mr. J.C. Hartman later became a Houston police, led the Houston Police Department there, which is really cool. And Mr. Joe Morgan, of course, known mostly likely for his exploits with the Reds. And I also remember him, of course, like many of us do, I think it was Sunday Night Baseball with John Miller and Joe Morgan. I always remember those guys talking back and forth, calling the game. That was fun on Sunday nights in the 90s, I want to say. So again, hopefully you enjoyed this bonus episode. I'll likely dive in. I'm not sure whether it's going to be with the Red Sox, the Dodgers, or maybe the Cubs or someone else, but I hope you like the series, learning more about some of these guys who maybe are in the commons bins in most sections, but every one of these guys, whether they're a Hall of Famer or not, certainly has a story to tell. I've enjoyed telling stories as I can and researching the stories to tell, and look forward to those who watch and comment. Let me know what I missed, if I got something wrong. If you know of somebody else who may have been first or near the top that you think has a cool story, let me know as well. I love to interact, and thanks for the support of the channel. And check out the 1 year on YouTube contest too. Leave a comment and you'll be entered to win. So with that, have a great day. I'll put Mr. Hartman back there, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.